Hey everybody, welcome to Yoga with Maria. I'm Maria, and today on the channel we're practicing yoga for wrist pain. If your pain's coming from your yoga practice or something completely different, come along. We're going to be working on ways to stretch the wrist as well as some strengthening exercises. And then we're also going to look at and explore how to bear weight on the hands in a safe way. So if that's you, grab your mat, grab 2 blocks for this practice. Make sure you're subscribed to this channel, and let's get started. Alrighty, come onto your mat, catch a block and place it underneath your seat, and then we're just gonna come to a simple cross-legged seat. So if you have your 2 blocks, that'll be great. 1 block will come under the seat and just cross at the shins, or one heel comes in front of the other. Good, and then we're just gonna take the hands up and overhead, kind of like a high V here, and then we're just gonna do some hand flashes. So you're making a fist and then spreading the fingers. So get that going. You can start slow and then speed this up a little bit. This is just gonna help us open up, or rather wake up the hands and the wrists and the forearms. And even already I can start to feel a little bit of heat gathering in that area. Keep going, stay with it. Begin to tune into your breath. Maybe even close the eyes. Breathing in, breathing out, breathing in. Woo, I can feel it. Breathing out. And then let the hands come down by the sides. And we're going to interlace our fingers and just start to make figure 8s, or kind of a rolling sensation with the hands and the wrist. And then see if you can go the other way. Actually, before you go the other way, take the opposite interlacing of the fingers and go the other way. Yeah. Nice. Taking it gentle, keeping this nice and chill, just giving some movement and love to the wrist. Good. And then release this, and we're just going to gather. Most of these things are kind of simple, and these are exercises you can come back to, or maybe you do a few while you're watching TV or waiting in line somewhere. So press your hands together. Elbows go wide. Also known as Anjali Mudra, or this prayer hand mudra that we make often in class. So you're just pressing, really pay attention to pressing the thumbs against one another, the pointer finger, the middle finger, ring finger, and pinky finger. Feel kind of that circle of the palm, all the edges of the circle pressing against one another. Yeah, stay with your breath. This might feel a lot, and this is gonna help us build a little bit of strength in the wrist and the arms and even the shoulders. You might even start to feel the shoulders start to come online. Try to stay supple and soft in the neck. So if you want to shake the head no, or take one ear to the shoulder, just to check in on that. Yeah. Good. And then release this and take the arms wide. Palms face me or the camera. And then just try to find like just neutral or straight alignment with the hands and the wrists. And then you're just going to dip the pinky fingers down towards the floor. So we're going to stretch that top part. Try not to let the hands curve in, or let the fingertips roll back. Just try to keep the arm or the hands straight in line and dip the pinky fingers down. So almost like your thumbs are going to point to opposite sides here, opening up this the top side of the wrist and strengthening the bottom side. Good, and then bring the hands back to our prayer. Again, find kind of almost just do like a hand scan. Usually we do the whole body, but scan the hand, go through each finger, feel all the edges of your palm pressing against one another. Continuing to build a little bit of strength here. Yeah. Good, and then release this and take the arms wide again and palms face forward once again. And this time, this one's a little bit harder. You're gonna pull the thumb back towards you. Yeah, you might find that you wanna bend the elbows a little bit. Try to resist that. It's okay if they bend a little bit. Nice. And then release and just shake the arms out a little bit. So nice. From here, we will come onto our hands and our knees. So you can move the block to the side, and we're going to start to put a little bit of weight on the hands. So knees stack right underneath the hips, the shoulders stack right over the wrist. All the fingertips face completely forward. And then just start to take really tiny, like the smallest you possibly can, little circles over the wrist. Just choose one way and take it that way, and then we'll take it to the other side. So going the opposite directions. And the wrists are, there's like 8 bones in the wrist, and that's not counting all the bones of the hands and the bones of the arm that insert there. So really taking this with gentleness and ease, taking it really slow. And then come somewhere back in the middle, and you're just gonna turn the hands out to the sides. So fingertips point out. If this isn't accessible, keep the fingertips facing forward. And then once again, find some little circles on top of the wrist here. Going one direction and then taking it the opposite way. Good. Okay, and then from here, come to sit back on the heels, and we're just going to take the hands behind us, interlace the fingers, and just reach, try to find space in the fingers or in the hands, so there's the hands almost pull away from each other. Reach the knuckles down towards your toes. And just allow even the shoulders to open a little bit to find some space. Right, because when we use the wrist, ultimately we're using the whole arm and we're using the shoulder. And when we're weight bearing on the hands, we'll find in just a moment that it takes work in the core and the legs just as much to support that area of the body to make sure that we're not dumping into the wrist. Yeah, and then release this and give yourself a little hug. Left arm comes on top. And then open and take it the other way. Oh, right arm comes on top. Good, and then take the hands back behind you once again. Interlace the fingers, take the non-dominant grip, and just reach the knuckles down towards the floor. Yeah. Let the chest find some broadness. Good, and then release this, and then we're going to come back to our hands and our knees. And we're just going to take a look at setting up the alignment of the hands. So make sure that the hands are right underneath the shoulders. And then just take a look down at your own hands. It'll be helpful, I think, to take the eyes off the video for a moment to really just look at your own hands here. And then the first thing I want you to do is just to spread the fingers nice and wide. Just notice that you've got a nice, we don't want them spread so wide that it feels like the little webbing between the fingers is going to rip apart or something. But a lot of us kind of will sometimes get lazy with the hands and we end up with the fingers together or not really, we forget about the hands, right? So really spread the fingers and just see what that feels like to spread the hands wide. It'll give you, a bigger base ultimately. Yeah. And then see if you can press a little bit more down into your pointer finger and your thumb. So just see what that feels like to put a little bit more weight on the inside of the hand. Most of us come to our yoga practice we do a lot of like the text and typing, and so we end up putting more weight on the outer edges of the hands, and then we get a little bit more awareness and we start to put more weight into the pointer finger and the thumb. But both of those are a little bit uneven, and the way we can find a balance here is when we're pushing down through the pointer finger and the thumb. And then we want to externally rotate the upper arm bone. And when we externally rotate, the armpits pull up and in, the triceps roll back a little bit, and it brings a nice balance of weight back into the pinky side edge of the hand. Yeah. So see if you can feel that as you press down into the pointer finger and the thumb, then externally rotate your upper arm bones and see how that kind of balances out the weight across the hands. Good. And then just come to sit down and shake the hands out. I know that's a lot. We're gonna look at the alignment of the wrist and how you can check it out with the front of the mat as well. So come back, find those things again, spread the fingertips, and then just take a look at their wrist crease. And we wanna make sure that it's lined up with the front edge of our mat. And that's gonna help us find parallel foot. So for most of us, it's instead of the middle finger, when you point the middle finger straight forward towards the front of the mat, it actually causes us to internally rotate the arm a little bit. What you want to look for is this index finger pointing straight forward. And that will usually line up the wrist crease. It'll give us a little bit more space on the internal side of the wrist. And it'll keep your wrist crease parallel with the front edge of the mat. Okay, so then find your pointer finger and your thumb and then do that little external rotation. The shoulder blades come up onto the back. And then press down into the fingertips and see if you can create a little bit of a suction, almost like a frog hand with the hand. So that inner part of the palm, that soft part kind of sucks up and in, almost like we're gripping onto the mat, right? And that just activates the whole forearm and the upper arm too. So instead of just sinking into the wrist joints, when we kind of grip the mat like that and press down into the fingertips and the part of the palm that isn't the outside edge of the palm, that circle that we felt when we were pressing the hands together, that helps us activate through the whole arm and create some integrity there. Good. So again, sit back on the heels, shake the hands out. I know that's a lot. Let's try downward facing dog once with this. So come back again. A lot of this is just coming forward and back, forward and back. And these things take time. So if you're currently experiencing wrist pain, this might be too much and you might need to take more breaks than I'm offering. And you may need to come back to this and really keep these hand alignment things in mind while you're practicing. So from here, set up your hands, wrist creases are in line with the front mat. More of the pointer finger is pointing forward rather than the middle finger. So the hands aren't like super turned out, but it's just a tiny, tiny shift. Yeah, and then externally rotate the arms, tuck the toes behind you and lift the hips up and back for a downward facing dog. You can pedal out the feet. We haven't done much with the legs here, but really feel yourself pressing through the hands and find again that suction in the palm. Yeah, so we're creating a lot more integrity through the whole arm and shoulder. Good, and then bring the knees down. And this time we're gonna come to sit down. Another piece, especially when we get into poses like plank, where it's, all the weight, it feels like a lot of weight can sink into the arms and the wrist. And that will be a place that we have usually more pain than a downward facing dog. A lot of things that have to do with that are the legs and the core. Most movement comes from the core, and if we have a weak core, we're gonna struggle it'll affect everything, right? So it's kind of our home base. So we're just gonna this is unrelated, it's giving us a break from the wrist, but we're gonna practice boat pose. So bend the knees and bring the toes to the mat, arms reach forward, and then lift up the right leg, tap it down, lift up the left, and we're just gonna alternate feet. Just waking up the core a little bit. Let the pelvis tilt back a little bit. The spine will curve a little bit here so that we make sure that we're activating the belly. So when the core is online, that also helps everything pull upward and inward, and it helps reduce the risk of us just, again, sinking into the wrist. And then maybe lift up both feet, arms reach forward. You can even roll out the wrist here both ways. Yeah. Good, and then bring those down, cross over the feet, and come back to hands and knees. Now we're gonna try plank. We'll keep the knees down for a moment and then lift into the knees. So come back to the hands. Again, find that alignment. Pointer finger pointing towards the front of the mat, wrist crease towards the front of the mat. Pressing through the thumb and the forefinger, and then feel the external rotation in your upper arm bone. Shoulder blades come up onto the back. And then tuck the toes behind you. Just tap the knees down. Yeah, you might cross the ankles. And then again, find broadness across the chest as you externally rotate upper arm bones. Look forward. And then We've just worked the belly, so bring the core online. Even use the legs. Yeah, inner legs can squeeze towards one another. Good. And then let's try full plank. Keep the hands where they are. If you need to make more space, find the integrity in the hands, externally rotate the arms, and then tuck the toes. Again, feel the belly come online, and then fire up the legs almost like you're standing on the floor. Feel yourself lifting up and out. Look forward. Yes. And bring the knees down. I just want you to feel that for a moment, and then come to sit on the heels. Take the arms wide, shake the wrist, roll them out, and we'll take eagle wrap. So take the right arm underneath the left, press the backs of the hands, or you can press palms, and this will give us a nice last little stretch of the wrist. You can make little circles with the elbows here. Close the eyes, and then release the arms and take the left arm on bottom, right arm on top. Little circles with the elbows, press the hands, or you can press the backs of the hands. And then release, arms come wide, let the hands rest on the lap. So hopefully you feel this. I know I feel it a lot more in my arms and my shoulders and in the core than in the wrist. Yeah, so we can give them a little massage here as well. But when we're properly putting weight on the hands, there's a lifting up and out of the wrist joint. So this isn't all gonna come at once. So keep practicing, keep coming back to this video. Do a little bit more each time if that felt really intense on the hands and the wrist. And like we all say in yoga, practice makes progress. So thanks for joining me today. Namaste, yogis. Just like we talked about in this video, pain in the wrist might be a result of not activating the core or the legs as much as you can when we're bearing weight on the hands. So if you want a little extra core work, check out this video for boat pose. It's just 5 minutes, so quick. Give it a watch, and I'll see you there.